Okay, now our light maps have finished baking out, and as you can see, we baked out what here 5 light maps that have all of the lighting baked directly into, or all the global illumination baked directly into the light maps. So now when we rebuild and view the application, now we'll run it. Now we have our skybox that we changed out, and we have our still have our fog and all of the environmental lighting. We have our, just like in our scene from here, we have all of our baked shadows on there, and we even have our real-time shadow sitting on our client there. So that's the actual game view, and this is our view of the game, or of the scene. Now we really want to get into making this guy move around. That calls for some Pro Tools. Right now, we are using the Standard Edition. And if we go into our project license, we're using still our Standard Edition. When you join the developer program, you'll be able to generate project licenses. So you would go generate project license, and you would enter your subscription information and hit generate project license. Right now, I will just use my built-in license that I have somewhere. I think I have it here. Let's just grab my deployment configuration and my license files. We'll pop back over here, go to our config folder, and we will drop them right there. Now, as soon as we drop them there, the editor will detect out our license file, and it will unlock the Pro version. So now we're using the Pro edition. Everything is set for my enterprise licensing. That's why we changed our company name to Mackie. You would change it to whatever your license is licensed under, and it activated our Pro Tools. One of the packages that you'll be able to now work with freely is the starter content. So now we can load some starter content in there, and this basically gives us a bunch of helper classes, a default camera system, which is like our Uber camera system, like a Send machine. We got some player controllers in there, some mobile components in there, all kind of good stuff to help you jumpstart getting your application going. We'll be using the Pro version, so physics will be enabled, including all of the physics on all of the geometry. There is some compound collisions set up for the walls and the little tunnels and things of that nature, but it's all done out the box. So now that we have our native content loaded, we can come over here to our player controller. Now this is a character that has been set up from the starter asset, but we still use some of the components off of there from the Pro Tools. So the Pro Tools supports the animation controller and the character controller. Although we want to tweak this a little bit, we want to make this just a little bit bigger on the skin width, and we want to put it to 94. Right there, that's kind of a better setting with our Havoc physics for our player controller. And to get that to work here, we're just going to add, and I'm going to add third person player controller. Now this one is an actual Babylon script component. I'll choose the arrow key here. Let's give it a little bit more jump speed. And it will ignore these 4 here because they don't really, they're not one of the system components. They're just kind of native Unity components. And since we ignore those components during the export, you can safely leave them there. Also, since this component is not a real Unity component, you can safely leave that there if you were going to run the native scene. But for us, all we're going to do is just add that player controller object there, and let's hit the rebuild. Now that we're in our Pro Edition, and out the box, we didn't have to write any code or anything like that to get all of the functionality of a full third-person controller with a camera that supports camera collision. So like when you move the camera around, you could get the components here. Hold on one second. Now, as we can see here now, the guy has a an idle animation on there, and I'm moving and doing my arrow keys right now, so we're not moving because we haven't attached to the camera control to do its movement. So what we're going to do is pop back over here to the main camera control. We're going to say add a default camera system, and then back here on our player armature, there you go, and then we'll rebuild that. Give that a second to build. We'll hit the preview button. Now we got full movement. We can run, we can jump. Now if we take a look, let's pop up here. If we take a look here, now you can see all of the environment, all of the fog settings and things like that on the room. So it gives you the full functionality of the starter assets. See if we can make our big jump. This is a compound collision. Right here, this is kind of set up where it's two pieces there, so it's actually a compound collider. Let's see if we can make our jump. And bam, hey, we made it. I was trying to see if I can make that particular jump. But yep, there is our component running under our Pro Tools. So again, we had no code that we actually coded in this particular example because we're using this third-party player controller, which is referencing this character controller and referencing the animation controller. So when I walk, run, jump, it's feeding those properties into the animation controller the same way that it works for Unity. And now we get to use directly out the box Unity's animation controller here automatically. So if you go in here, there's a blend tree that is between idle, walk, and run. So when we start to press our button forward, it is blending between our idle animation and our walk animation. And if I hit the shift, it'll blend up to the run animation. When I let go of the shift, it'll blend back down into the walk animation. And if I let go of that, then it'll blend into the idle animation. And all that happens automatically from using the Pro Tools. Next video, we will concentrate on some of the premium features. So I'll see you then.